Welcome to our story. This is Volume 1 in a new trilogy, Heart of All Clans. Book 1, Wild Diplomacy. We will meet Rayna, a professional mediator working in groundbreaking treaty negotiations between Panther and Wolf Shifter clans. Rayna is a unique multi-shifter, the only one of her kind. This secret identity is about to be exposed after meeting her fated mate. Alpha Rafe is leading the Wolf treaty negotiations after his youngest brother Cass was claimed by Cenit, a Panther princess. Let's begin. Book 1, Wild Diplomacy. Book 1, Wild Diplomacy. Prologue. Rafe's POV. I fucked up. Not just regular fucked up. Not forgot to file paperwork or missed a meeting fucked up. Catastrophically, politically, potentially start a war between two clans fucked up. And the worst part? I had no idea until I saw Fandor's face. Let me back up. The dinner that started everything. The conference room was too warm. Someone had cranked the heat, and between that and my formal suit, required for these damned Panther negotiations, I was ready to crawl out of my skin. But this was important. Critical, even. My brother Cass's entire future depended on this dinner going well. They're here. Lars murmured from the doorway, straightening his tie. My second youngest brother looked almost as uncomfortable as I felt in formal wear. We were wolves. We belonged in forests and mountains, not stuffy conference rooms with crystal chandeliers. Remember, I said to my three brothers, keeping my voice low. Respectful. Formal. We need this treaty. Finn, youngest and least diplomatic, rolled his eyes. We know. Cass gets his Panther princess. Panthers get whatever political concessions you negotiated. Everyone's happy. If we don't screw it up, Cass added, voice tight with nerves. He had the most to lose here. Sen, his fated mate, was Panther royalty. Convincing her clan to accept a wolf was complicated. The doors opened. Fandor entered first. Panther clan's chief negotiator, all elegant power and calculating golden eyes. Behind him, Hector and Link, senior Panther representatives. And behind them, Sen beautiful, regal, and looking at Cass with such open longing it made my chest tight. This had to work. For them. Alpha Rafe. Fandor's bow was precise, respectful. Thank you for hosting us. The honor is ours. I returned the bow, matching his formality. Please, be seated. And that's where it started going wrong. The Panthers didn't sit. They stood there, waiting, while I looked at them in confusion. Hector and Link exchanged glances. Fandor's expression remained neutral, but something flickered in his eyes. Disappointment? No. Worse? Concern. Is something wrong? I asked. We await the ladies, Fandor said simply. Right, of course. Panther customs. Women seated first, women ate first, always. I knew that. I'd studied their protocols for weeks. Except, where was Nikita? My girlfriend, ex-girlfriend now, but at the time still mine, was supposed to be here. Highest-ranking female in my delegation by virtue of being the Alpha's partner. She should have been here before the Panthers arrived. I pulled out my phone discreetly. Text from Nikita. Running late? Meeting went long. Start without me. XOXO. Start without her. Simple words. Reasonable request. Except I was about to violate a fundamental Panther custom. I should have known better. Should have waited. Made some excuse. Delayed until she arrived. Instead, I said, my apologies. Nikita has been delayed. Please, sit. We'll begin without her. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. I didn't understand why until later. Much later. After everything had already unraveled. The unraveling. The dinner was a disaster from that moment forward. Small things. Tiny infractions I didn't even recognize as infractions. Finn cracked a joke. Harmless to wolves. Apparently offensive to Panthers. Lars asked Sen a direct question. Disrespectful in their culture to address royalty without proper preamble. I, trying to be casual and friendly, suggested we discuss territorial arrangements. Over drinks later, just us men. Fandor's face could have been carved from stone. By the time Nikita arrived, 40 minutes late, breathless and apologetic, the damage was done. "I am so sorry." She'd rushed to her seat, white braids disheveled. "The council meeting ran over, and then traffic." She stopped, reading the room. The Panthers, coldly polite. My brothers, confused and uncomfortable. Me, just starting to realize something was very wrong. "Did I miss something?" Nikita asked carefully. "Merely introductions and preliminary discussions," Fandor replied. His tone was even, professional, and absolutely damning. We limped through the rest of dinner. Every topic I raised seemed to hit invisible walls. Every suggestion met with polite demurral. Sen barely spoke, though she kept glancing at Cass with increasing distress. When the Panthers finally stood to leave, earlier than scheduled, I knew we'd failed. "Alpha Rafe," Fandor said at the door. "We will need to reconsider the parameters of this arrangement." My stomach dropped. Reconsider? The cultural gap is larger than anticipated. Translation: you wolves are too ignorant of our ways for this to work. "We can bridge that gap," I said quickly. "With more time, more discussion." "Perhaps?" Fandor's eyes were kind but firm. "Perhaps with proper mediation." "Mediation?" "We will be in touch with a recommendation." And they left. Sen cast one desperate look back at Cass before her clan swept her away. My brother's face was devastated. The aftermath. "What the hell happened?" Lars demanded once we were alone. "I don't know," I admitted, raking hands through my hair. "I thought it went fine. Formal, polite." "They hated us," Finn said bluntly. "They didn't hate us. They just—" I trailed off. Nikita's voice quiet. "I should have been here." "You were delayed. That happens." "No, Rafe, I should have been here." She looked pale. "Panthers seat women first, always. It's not just custom, it's sacred to them. You started without me, without any women present." The realization hit like a punch to the gut. "That's why they were upset?" "That's part of it," she said. "But there are probably a dozen other things we did wrong. Things we don't even know about." She was right. We'd spent weeks studying Panther politics, territorial law, mate bond protocols, but we'd barely scratched the surface of their cultural norms. And now Cass was paying the price. 2 days later, the message came via official channels. "The Panther clan requests neutral mediation for continued treaty negotiations. We have retained the services of mediator Rayna, specialist in interclan cultural diplomacy. She will arrive the following day to assess the situation and facilitate further discussions." I stared at the message on my phone. A mediator. They were bringing in a professional because we'd fucked up so badly. "Mediator Rayna," Nikita read over my shoulder. "I've heard of her." "Yeah?" "She's supposed to be incredible. Worked with bear clans, other wolf packs, even some of the more isolated mountain clans. Young though, mid-20s? Graduated university at 16 or something ridiculous? Great, a prodigy coming to judge our cultural incompetence." "She'll fix this," Nikita said with confidence. "She has to, for Cass and Sen." I nodded, still staring at the message. 1 day until the mediator arrived. 3 days to prepare. 1 day before everything changed. Though I had no idea how much. Chapter 1. Rafe's POV. The hotel bar was too bright and too loud for the headache still pounding behind my eyes. I sat in the far corner booth, nursing a whiskey I hadn't touched in 20 minutes. Nikita had dragged me here as an apology for the negotiation dinner disaster 2 nights earlier, the one where I'd managed to offend an entire Panther delegation in under 45 minutes. She'd called it a tactical retreat with cocktails. I called it avoidance. Either way, I was here. She slid into the seat across from me, white braids swinging, cheeks already flushed from whatever fruity thing she'd been drinking. Her Polish accent was thicker when she was tipsy. Rounder vowels, sharper consonants. "You're brooding again," she said, poking my forearm. "Stop it. Tonight is fun. No politics, no treaties, just us." I gave her a half smile. "I'm not brooding, I'm thinking." "Same difference?" She leaned forward, elbows on the table. "You've been thinking nonstop since the dinner. About Cass, about Sen, about how you failed them." I winced. She wasn't wrong. Cass's face when the Panthers walked out, devastated, quiet, trying not to show how much it hurt, had been carved into my brain. He was the softest of us, the one who still believed love could fix anything. And I'd let politics nearly break his heart. Nikita reached across and squeezed my hand. "Hey, the mediator arrives tomorrow. She's supposed to be the best. She'll fix this." I turned my glass in slow circles. A 20-something prodigy who graduated university at 16. Sounds like exactly what we need. Someone even younger telling us how badly we screwed up. Nikita laughed, bright, unconcerned. "You're jealous of her brain." "I'm jealous of anyone who can walk into a room and not immediately offend an entire species." She rolled her eyes. "You're too hard on yourself. Come on, dance with me. Burn off the guilt." I almost said no. Then I looked at her. Really looked. She was trying so hard to pull me out of my head. White braids loose tonight, glitter dusting her collarbones, eyes bright with hope that I'd let myself have fun for 5 minutes. I stood. "Fine, one dance." Her grin was triumphant. The dance floor was packed, bodies moving under pulsing lights, bass thumping through the floor like a second heartbeat. Nikita tugged me into the crowd, arms looping around my neck, hips swaying against mine in that easy, playful way she had. For a few minutes, it almost worked. I let the music drown out the replay of Fandor's cold "We will reconsider" and Cass's shattered expression. I let Nikita's laughter pull me back into the moment. Then she froze mid-step. "Oh," she breathed. "Rafe, look." I followed her gaze. Near the edge of the floor, dancing alone. A woman. She wasn't trying to be noticed. No flashy moves. No performative hair toss. Just moving. Olive-toned skin. Full lips. Full everything. Oh, she had curves. Waves seemed to follow her curves instead of natural law. Like the music lived inside her hips, and she was letting it out one slow, fluid motion at a time. Dark hair loose around her shoulders. Simple black dress that clung without screaming for attention. Bare arms, strong lines, skin catching the strobe lights in flashes of gold. Her movements were attracting every person like she was giving a lap dance to the whole room. My wolf sat up so fast I nearly staggered. Mine. The words slammed through me. Instinct, certainty, possession. I shoved it down hard. I had Nikita. I had responsibilities. I had a brother whose future depended on me keeping my head straight. But my eyes wouldn't leave her. Nikita was already moving, releasing me, weaving through the crowd with that fearless curiosity she wore like armor. "Nick," I started. Too late. She reached the woman, said something I couldn't hear over the music. The stranger turned. A small, cautious smile. A nod. Then both of them looked back at me. Nikita waved me over. Big, enthusiastic gesture. I went. Because apparently my legs had decided to betray me tonight. Up close, she was even more dangerous. Eyes green and sharp, like they could see straight through every layer I'd spent years building. Lips curved in polite interest, but guarded. Scent, wild, honey, layered, wolf. Yes, but something else underneath. Something storm. Something ancient. "Hi," she said, voice low, smooth, edged with whiskey heat. "I'm Ray." "Rafe." My throat felt tight. "And I'm Nikita." My girlfriend looped her arm through Ray's like they'd known each other for years. "Dance with us." Ray's gaze flicked to me, assessing, curious, then back to Nikita. A small shrug. "Sure, why not?" We danced. It should have been awkward. 3 people, one of them a stranger, one of them my girlfriend, one of them a man whose wolf was losing its mind. It wasn't. Nikita stayed between us at first, laughing, spinning, pulling us both into her orbit. Then she drifted, said something about drinks, disappeared into the crowd with a wink, leaving Ray and me facing each other. The music slowed. She didn't pull away. Neither did I. We moved together, closer now, bodies brushing, heat building. Her hand rested lightly on my shoulder. Mine settled at the small of her back. Bare skin under thin fabric, warm, alive. "You here for work or pleasure?" I asked, voice rougher than I meant. "Work." She tilted her head. "Just got into town today." "What do you do?" "Consulting." A half smile, knowing she wasn't lying, but not giving the whole truth either. "You?" "Complicated family business." She laughed, soft, surprised. That's one way to put it. We danced closer. I caught her scent again, deeper this time. Wolf, yes, but raven feathers. Storm wind, something luminous underneath, like light caught in water. My wolf howled. Mine. Mate. Mine. I clenched my jaw. Tried to breathe through it. My hand repeated, brushing her hair off her back. So soft. Unbelievably soft. She looked up, eyes searching mine. "You okay?" she asked. "You look like you're fighting something." "I'm fine." Lie. Her brow furrowed. "You sure?" No. I was drowning in her scent, in the feel of her against me, in the absolute certainty that this woman, this stranger, was the most important thing I'd ever touched. And I had a girlfriend waiting somewhere in the crowd, and a brother counting on me to fix the mess I'd made, and a treaty hanging by a thread. I didn't have room for fate, especially not fate that smelled like freedom and midnight and everything I'd told myself I didn't need. The song ended. It didn't really end, but as soon as it was only me and her on the dance floor, I no longer heard music. Only Ray's pulse, her exhale, her heartbeat, pulsed, in sync with mine. She stepped back. Small, polite distance. "I should get back to my hotel," she said. "Early day tomorrow." Nikita reappeared then. Drinks in hand, cheeks flushed, oblivious to the war inside my chest. "Stay for one drink?" she asked Ray. "Please?" Ray hesitated. Looked at me. I should have said no. Should have ended it right there. Instead, I heard myself say, "One drink." I didn't have time for fated mate nonsense. Especially not with a random woman in a club. "You okay?" Ray asked. "You look..." "Fine, I'm fine." But I wasn't. Nikita returned with another round of drinks, and somehow we ended up at our table, the 3 of us talking and laughing like old friends. Ray was sharp, funny, surprisingly easy to talk to despite her guarded edges. She made Nikita laugh with dry observations about the club's pretentious decor. She held her own in conversations about everything from politics to philosophy. And she kept meeting my eyes like she felt it too. The pull. The impossible connection. The moment everything changed. It was getting late. Or early. I'd lost track of time. Nikita was slightly drunk, giggly and warm against my side. Ray was more sober, but relaxed in a way she hadn't been when we first met. "We should get out of here," Nikita said suddenly, looking between me and Ray with an expression I couldn't quite read. "I should get back to my hotel," Ray said, starting to stand. "Or..." Nikita bit her lip, then plunged forward. "Or you could come with us?" I froze. Ray froze. "Nick," I started. "I'm just saying," Nikita continued, voice careful but hopeful. "We're all having fun. And Ray, you're in town alone?" I don't think... Ray was retreating, emotionally, if not physically. "No pressure," Nikita assured her. "I just thought..." She didn't finish. Nikita brushed her index finger along Ray's collarbone, etching along the edge of her right vest. My wolf had had enough. Enough pretending this was casual. Enough ignoring the mate bond screaming through my veins. Enough watching my girlfriend, sweet, generous Nikita, invite this woman into something that felt wrong on every level. Not because threesomes were wrong, but because Ray wasn't a fun night out. She was mine. And the possessiveness that surged through me was so strong, so overwhelming. I actually growled. No one would touch what was mine. Not Nikita. Not anyone. Both women looked at me, startled. Rafe? Nikita's voice uncertain. I stood abruptly. We should go. All of us. Separate ways. Ray was already backing away. I agree. This was fun, but I have work tomorrow. What kind of work? The question came out harsher than I meant. She blinked. Consulting. I said, what kind of consulting? Rafe, what? Nikita started. But Ray's eyes had narrowed. Why does it matter? It doesn't. I didn't know what I was losing my mind. The mate bond was scrambling my brain, my wolf was clawing at my insides, and this stranger, this beautiful, sharp, impossible stranger, was about to walk out of my life forever. And I couldn't let that happen. But I couldn't stop it either. Not without explaining things I didn't understand myself. I should go, Ray said firmly. Thank you for the drinks. Nice meeting you both. She turned toward the exit. My wolf lunged again. Not literally, I kept human form, but inside, my wolf surged forward with such force I actually moved. I stepped forward, instinct, not thought, blocking Ray's path to the exit. My hand caught her wrist. Wait. She looked down at my fingers wrapped around her skin, then up at my face. Let go, she said, quiet, firm. I did. Immediately. Hating myself for the growl that had slipped out earlier, for the way I'd touched her without permission. Sorry, I managed. I don't know what... It's fine. Her voice shook. Just a little. I really need to go. She slipped past me. This time, I let her. Watched her disappear into the crowd, controlled, graceful, retreating like a shadow. Nikita touched my arm. Rafe? I couldn't answer. My wolf was howling, loss, need, fury at my own stupidity. I'd just met her, and I'd already lost her. We left soon after. Drove home in silence. Nikita didn't push. When we got to the apartment, she kissed my cheek. Soft, sad. Sleep, she said. Tomorrow you meet the mediator. Tomorrow you fix things for Cass. I nodded. Went to bed alone on the couch. Couldn't face lying beside her when my mind was still in that club, still chasing a woman whose name I didn't even know. I lay awake staring at the ceiling. Tomorrow the mediator arrived. Tomorrow I had to be Alpha Rafe, controlled, professional, focused. Tomorrow everything would go back to normal. I was an excellent liar. But I'd never been good at lying to myself. Because somewhere in this city, in a hotel room I'd never seen, she was lying awake too. And I could feel it, through a bond that shouldn't exist yet. Feel her confusion, her fear, her reluctant curiosity. Tomorrow, I told myself again. Tomorrow I'd forget her. Tomorrow everything would be fine. My wolf whined softly in the dark. Missing someone we'd only just met. Mourning someone we'd already lost. Mate. Stop, I whispered. But it wouldn't listen. It never had. And deep down, in the place I refused to look yet, I knew the truth. Tomorrow wasn't going to fix anything. Tomorrow was going to break everything open. End of Chapter 1.
Chapter 2. Rayna's POV. One drink? I don't even know why I went for one drink. Standing in my hotel room, professional suit already hung carefully in the closet for tomorrow's meeting, notes reviewed 3 times, briefing materials memorized. Everything ready. I should have ordered room service. Should have gone to bed early. Should have done what I always did. Prepare, rest, perform. Instead, I found myself pulling on the simple black dress from the bottom of my suitcase. The one I never wore. The one I'd packed out of habit more than intent. One drink, I told myself, just to settle the nerves. Except I didn't get nervous before jobs anymore. Not after 6 years of this. But here I was anyway, taking the elevator down to the club on the hotel's bottom level, drawn by something I couldn't name. The gentle bass thrumming up through the floors, maybe? Or maybe just loneliness. The club. The music hit me the moment the elevator doors opened. Not overwhelming. This was an upscale place, expensive and exclusive, but present, insistent. The bass moved through me like a heartbeat. Why was I like a planet caught in orbit? Some gravitational pull I couldn't resist. Couldn't explain. I should have turned around. Gone back upstairs to my perfectly prepared hotel room and my perfectly organized life. Instead, I walked onto the dance floor. And I let myself move. Grandpa's voice. Ray, you think too much. His voice in my head, familiar as my own heartbeat, warm with the teasing affection that had defined my childhood. Grandpa. My everything, for so long. First Nations Gitsan, with the kind of dry humor that could make you laugh even when you wanted to cry. Sarcasm delivered so deadpan you didn't realize he was joking until you saw the crinkle around his eyes. Your mind is a gift, girl, but sometimes you gotta let your body remember it's alive too. He'd raised me alone after my parents died. I was too young to remember them, just photographs and stories Grandpa told on quiet nights. Your mama was Gitsan like me, he'd say. Smart as a whip, stubborn as old cedar. Your daddy was complicated, but he loved her, loved you. He never said more than that. And I never pushed. Grandpa was enough. Education. He pushed me academically from the start. Not cruelty investment. He saw what I could do, what I could become. You got something special in that brain, Ray? Gonna make sure you use it. When I tested into advanced programs at 12, he drove 3 hours each way to get me to classes. Never complained. Just packed lunches and brought books to read while he waited. When I applied to university at 14, he filled out every scholarship form with me. His rough hands, scarred from decades of reserve work, carefully writing out my accomplishments. International Political Sciences. Fancy, he'd said when I told him my major. My granddaughter, the diplomat. You gonna solve all the world's problems, Ray? Just the ones I can reach, I'd answered. His smile, proud and sad at once. That's my girl. I graduated at 16, top of my class, full of knowledge about conflict resolution, cultural mediation, international law, and absolutely no idea what to do with it. The shift. It happened 2 months after graduation. 2 months after Grandpa died. Cancer, fast and vicious. He'd hidden it until he couldn't anymore. Until I came home from my last final exam to find him collapsed in the cabin. 3 weeks later, he was gone. You're gonna be fine, Ray, he'd whispered in the hospital. His hand in mine, so thin it broke my heart. You're gonna do something extraordinary. Grandpa. Listen. His eyes fierce despite the pain. Your medicine is different than mine. Different than anyone's. You walk between worlds, girl. Always have. I thought he meant my education. My ability to move between academic and traditional knowledge. I didn't understand. Not until that first night alone in the cabin. Missing him so much I couldn't breathe. And then, shifting. Pain exploding through my body, bones breaking and reforming, skin splitting and reshaping. Terror absolute and overwhelming. Until suddenly I was on 4 legs, seeing the world through different eyes. Wolf. I was a wolf. And somehow, impossibly, I knew what to do. How to move. How to run. I burst from the cabin into the forest, running until my lungs burned and my paws bled. Running from grief, from loss, from everything I couldn't control. When I finally stopped, panting and exhausted, I shifted back. Human again, naked in the forest. Alone. Not alone. A raven landed on a branch above me. Black eyes watching with uncanny intelligence. And I felt it. The pull. The possibility. I could be that too. The other forms. Over the next months, I discovered the truth. I wasn't just wolf, wasn't just one thing. Wolf came easiest, the first shift, the most natural. But raven followed, and something else. Something I couldn't quite name. Serpentine and ancient, scales instead of fur. Dreams of other forms, other spirits I might touch. Bear, mountain lion, eagle. You walk between, Ray. Grandpa's words taking on new meaning. He'd known. Somehow he'd known what I was. Multi-shifter, not bound to one form, one animal, one spirit. I could be many things. And it terrified me, because I'd never heard of anyone like me. Never read about it in any shifter lore I could find. I was alone, again. Always alone. His sarcasm. His love. In those dark months after his death, I clung to memories. Grandpa teaching me to fish. Patience, Ray. Fish don't care about your schedule. Grandpa helping with homework. International relations, huh? That's just fancy words for everyone's got opinions and nobody listens. Grandpa finding me crying over college applications. Hey now, tears are fine, but don't let them stop you moving forward. His humor, even in darkness, especially in darkness. Life's gonna kick you, girl. Kick back, but make him laugh while you do it. His love, steady, unconditional, absolute. Never questioned my drive, my ambition, my hunger for something more. Just supported it, enabled it, celebrated it. You're gonna leave this place, he'd said once, looking around the small cabin. Gonna see the whole world. And I'm gonna be so damn proud watching you go. He never knew I'd leave as more than human. Never knew I'd shift into creatures he only told stories about. Maybe that was for the best. Maybe if he'd known what I really was, he'd have been afraid. Or disappointed. Or worse, tried to protect me by keeping me hidden. But he died loving the girl he raised. Not the monster I became. Learning to live alone. After the shifting started, I had to choose. Stay in the cabin, stay isolated, try to understand this power alone. Or leave. Build a life. Use the education Grandpa had sacrificed so much for. Don't waste what I gave you, Ray. That's all I ask. So I left. Found the nearest shifter pack. Wolves, naturally. They were scattered but organized, with territory throughout the region. Presented myself as a late shifter. Not unheard of, especially for wolves with human parents. They accepted me easily. Relieved, even educated shifters were valuable. You've got degrees in what? The Alpha had asked, impressed. International Political Sciences. Specialization in cultural mediation and conflict resolution. And you want to work with Pax? If you'll have me. He would. They would. And just like that, I had a purpose. A place. A way to belong while staying hidden. I just never told them about the Raven. Or the other forms I felt stirring, waiting. I was wolf to them. Only wolf. And that was enough. It had to be. Professional career. 6 years later, I'd built something real. Reputation as a mediator, first within wolf packs, then beyond. Bear clans, straightforward, hierarchical, surprisingly easy once you understood their murderous values. More wolf territories, complex politics, lots of posturing but familiar. Panthers, recent work, fascinating and challenging. Their matrilineal structure so different from wolf patriarchy. And humans, always humans. The political science degree giving me credibility in both worlds, which I knew could become tricky between patrilineal and matrilineal social structures. Wolf packs, power through male lineage. Alphas passing authority to sons, brothers, chosen males. Panther clans, power through female lineage. Queens and princesses, inheritance through daughters. The conflicts weren't just territorial, they were fundamental. Different ways of seeing the world, organizing society, defining worth. And I could navigate both. Because I belonged to neither. Because I was whatever I needed to be. Shifting not just forms, but perspectives. The ultimate outsider. The perfect mediator. If anything, it served my professional career. Clients liked that I understood protocols instinctively. That I could move between cultures without offense. They had no idea it was because I moved between species. The assignment. This job was my biggest yet. Wolf-Panther treaty negotiations. High stakes, high profile. Alpha Rafe's brother Cass wanted to mate bond with Panther Princess Sen. Political nightmare of competing hierarchies, territorial disputes, cultural clashes. And I was supposed to fix it. The briefing materials made clear. Previous negotiations had failed spectacularly. Cultural insensitivity, protocol violations, the works. Now they needed an expert. They needed me. I should have been excited. This was career-defining work. Instead, I was restless. Hence, one drink. Hence, the club. Hence, trying to settle nerves I shouldn't have. The dance floor. The music wrapped around me as I moved. No one watching, no one judging. Just me and the rhythm and the bass thrumming through my bones. This was what I needed. To not think. Not plan. Not be professional mediator Rayna. Just be. Sometimes you gotta let your body remember it's alive too. Grandpa's voice approving. I smiled, eyes closed, letting the music take me. And felt it. The shift in the air. Someone watching. Her arrival. I opened my eyes. A woman, white braids to her waist, pink dress, bright smile, weaving through the crowd toward me. Hi, she said, voice bubbly with a Polish accent. I'm Nikita, you dance beautifully. Guarded immediately. Thanks. Want company, or do you prefer alone? I can go. Company's fine. Surprising myself? She beamed. Wonderful. My boyfriend's over there, gesturing vaguely. But I saw you and thought she looks like she could use a friend. I almost laughed. That obvious? Little bit. No judgment, just warmth. And despite every instinct telling me to retreat, to protect my isolation, I let her stay. We danced together, easy and uncomplicated. She was effortlessly friendly, the kind of person who made everyone around her feel welcome. I envied that. The ease of connection I'd never mastered. I'm Ray, I offered. Beautiful name. What brings you to the city, Ray? Work. Consulting. True enough. Me too, well, not consulting, but work adjacent. My boyfriend's in family business. Complicated. She rolled her eyes affectionately. Family business always is, I agreed. Right? Oh, there he is. Come meet him. I don't think. But she was already pulling me through the crowd, irresistible force of nature. And then, the impact. I saw him before he saw me. Or maybe he saw me first. But my opinion of him stood like a force beyond nature. Tall, Norse god handsome, blonde hair, strong features, commanding presence even in casual clothes. Standing with easy confidence, watching Nikita approach with a smile that was fond and familiar. This was her boyfriend. Clearly loved, clearly comfortable together. I should have walked away. Should have made an excuse, slipped back into the crowd. But Nikita was already introducing us, her hand on my arm, drawing me forward. Rafe, this is Ray. Isn't she lovely? He looked at me, and everything exploded. The lunge. He moved so fast. 1 second standing still, relaxed. The next, half lunging toward me. Body surging forward involuntarily, powerful and predatory. Eyes flashing with something not entirely human. I stumbled back instinctively, every survival instinct screaming, threat, alpha, danger. My wolf rising to meet his, ready to defend or submit. He caught himself mid-motion. Froze with 1 foot forward, hands partially raised, entire body radiating coiled tension. Like every muscle was fighting to stop a momentum already started. Around us, the crowd shifted uncomfortably. Several people stepping away, sensing the sudden violence in the air even if they didn't understand it. Nikita's eyes went wide. Rafe? Sorry. His voice was rough, strained. Sorry. He forced himself back to stillness, but I could see it. The tremor in his hands, the tightness in his jaw, the way his eyes were still locked on me with terrifying intensity. Not anger. Recognition. No. My heart was pounding, adrenaline flooding my system. That wasn't a normal reaction. That wasn't casual interest or attraction. That was mate recognition. His wolf had seen mine and lunged before his human mind could stop it. Which meant, oh no, the recovery. I'm Rafe, he managed, voice more controlled now but still rough around the edges. Sorry, He stopped, clearly not knowing how to explain. You just triggered my wolf's mate instinct, and I nearly tackled you in the middle of a club probably was an appropriate first meeting conversation. Startled me, he finished lamely. Ray, I said, finding my voice, keeping it steady through sheer force of will. Nice to meet you. The understatement of the century. Nikita was looking between us, confused and concerned. Are you okay? She asked Rafe quietly. Fine, just... He ran a hand through his hair, visibly struggling for composure. Didn't see you coming. Instinct kicked in. Translation. My wolf recognized its mate and tried to claim her immediately. I should run. Should make an excuse. Leave. Get as far from this man as possible. But my own wolf was pressing forward, curious and eager. Mate. Strong mate. Good mate. No, I whispered under my breath. Both of them looked at me. Nothing. Sorry, just... It's loud in here. Lame excuse. But Nikita accepted it with a sympathetic smile. It is. Want to go somewhere quieter? There's a lounge area. Or we could dance, I said quickly. Dancing meant no talking. Dancing meant space. Dancing meant I could think without those storm gray eyes boring into me. Great idea. Nikita's enthusiasm returning. Come on. The dance. Controlled chaos. The three of us moved together. Should have been awkward. Was awkward, actually, despite Nikita's best efforts. Because Rafe was wound tight as a spring. Every movement careful. Controlled, like he was consciously stopping himself from reaching for me. We kept space between us. Nikita in the middle, buffer and bridge. But I felt him anyway. The pull, the magnetism, the impossible recognition. Like a planet caught in orbit. His gravity undeniable, dragging me closer even as I fought to maintain distance. Nikita, oblivious or deliberately ignoring the tension, chattered happily. This is so fun. We never go out dancing. Rafe's always working, and I'm always... She continued, but I'd stopped listening. Because Rafe had leaned in to say something to her, and his scent hit me full force. Pine and snow and something wild and familiar and absolutely devastatingly perfect. My wolf whined, Mate, mate, claim him. Let him claim us. I stepped back, putting more distance between us. Rafe's eyes snapped to me immediately, tracking the movement. His jaw clenched, fighting the instinct to follow, to close the distance I'd created. This was a disaster. Nikita's absence. I'm getting drinks, Nikita announced suddenly. What does everyone want? I'm fine, I started. Nonsense. You need a drink. Vodka? Tequila? Wine? Water's fine. Water and wine. Perfect. Rafe, you want your usual? Sure, he said, not looking at her. Still looking at me. Great. Be right back. And she was gone, vanishing into the crowd with cheerful efficiency. Leaving us alone. Facing each other on the dance floor, music pounding around us, people pressing close. Neither of us moving. You felt it, Rafe said. Not a question. I don't know what you're talking about. When you lunged at me like I was prey, my voice sharper than intended. He flinched. I'm sorry, I didn't mean... What did you mean? I don't know. Honest, raw. I saw you and I just... Had to get closer? Had to touch you. Had to? He stopped, fists clenching. This doesn't make sense. No, I agreed quietly. It doesn't. We stood there, caught between the urge to flee and the inability to move. The mate bond hovering between us, not snapped into place but present. Waiting. You have a girlfriend, I said finally. I know. A girlfriend who seems lovely. She is. So this, whatever this is, can't happen. He finished. I know. relief and disappointment warring in my chest. This was the right answer. The only answer. So, why did it hurt? The attempt at normal. We tried. When Nikita returned with drinks, we tried to act normal. Talked about inconsequential things. Work, vaguely. The city, superficially. The club, anything to fill the silence. Nikita did most of the talking, her natural warmth trying to smooth over the tension she could feel but didn't understand. Rafe and I were carefully polite, carefully distant, carefully ignoring the way our eyes kept meeting, the way my pulse jumped when he moved closer, the way his hand twitched toward me before he caught himself. Hours passed in surreal suspension, part of me screaming to leave, part of me desperate to stay. Both parts terrified of what would happen when this night ended. The proposition. It was Nikita who broke first. "This is silly," she said suddenly, voice bright but eyes uncertain. "What is?" Rafe asked carefully. "This," gesturing between us, "whatever this tension is." "There's no," I started. "There is," she interrupted gently. "I'm not blind. You two have been something. All night." My stomach dropped. Rafe's face went carefully blank. "And I think," Nikita continued, brave or foolish, "maybe we should just acknowledge it." "Nick," Rafe's voice held warning. "I'm just saying," she was blushing now but pushing forward, "maybe we could all spend more time together?" The implication clear. The invitation unmistakable. No. Every instinct screaming at me. Not because I judged her suggestion. Consenting adults could make whatever choices they wanted. But because this wasn't about casual fun. This was mate recognition. This was forever bond. This was something that couldn't be shared, couldn't be negotiated, couldn't be anything but absolute. And I couldn't have it. The breaking point. "I don't think that's a good idea," I said carefully. Nikita's face fell. "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "No, it's not." How to explain without explaining? "I just don't think." Nikita bravely touched my chest. Rafe stood abruptly. The suddenness of it stopping all conversation. "We should go," he said roughly. "All of us, separate ways." His control fraying, visible in the tension of his shoulders, the tightness of his voice. This was a mistake. The words hit like a slap. Even though I agreed. Even though I'd been thinking the same thing. Hearing him say it hurt. "I agree," I managed, standing as well. "I have work tomorrow anyway." "What kind of work?" His question sharp, almost aggressive. "Consulting, I told you." "What kind of consulting?" Pushing now, wolf bleeding through. "Why does it matter?" We were facing each other again, tension crackling. Nikita looking between us with growing alarm. "It doesn't," he said finally, stepping back. "You're right. It doesn't matter." But his eyes said different. Said, "Everything about you matters." Said, "I need to know everything." Said, "You're mine and I don't even know your last name." "I should go," I said, breaking eye contact with effort. Turned toward the exit. Made it 3 steps. The touch. His hand on my wrist. Not hard. Not painful. But absolute. Stopping me as effectively as a wall. My wolf surged. Yes. Touch claim. Accept. My human mind panicked. Danger. Exposure. Run. "Wait," he said. I looked down at his hand, then up at his face. Big mistake. His eyes were storm dark, intense with need and confusion and something that looked like desperation. "Let go," I said quietly. "I can't. Honest. Broken. I can't explain this." "You don't need to." "But I feel." "Know what you feel." Meeting his eyes fully now, letting him see my own recognition. "I feel it too." His breath caught. "But we can't," I continued firmly. "You know we can't." "Why not?" "Because you have a girlfriend. Because I have a job. Because this, gesturing between us, is impossible for about 12 reasons I don't have time to list." Behind him, Nikita's voice, small and hurt. Rafe? The sound of it breaking something in him. His hand opened, releasing me. But the loss felt like tearing. I'm sorry, he said. To me? To her? To both of us? I don't know what's wrong with me. Nothing's wrong with you, I said softly. Everything's wrong with this situation, I didn't say. We're mates, and it's the worst possible timing. I didn't say. I have to walk away before this destroys both our lives, I didn't say. I really do need to go. This time, he didn't stop me. I walked through the crowd, keeping my pace controlled. Professional, calm, unaffected. All eyes. At the exit, I couldn't help it. Rubbing my wrist as though he hurt me. Even though he never hurt me. His electric force fleeting from his lack of touch hurt. He was still standing there, Nikita beside him, saying something I couldn't hear. But his eyes were on me. And the recognition in them was absolute. Mate. I turned away and walked out into the night. The hotel room. Second attempt. Back in my room, I leaned against the door, breathing hard. What the hell just happened? I'd gone down for one drink, one dance, and met my fated mate, who had a girlfriend, who I'd be working with tomorrow. Because of course, he was Alpha Rafe. I'd checked my phone in the elevator, checked the briefing files one more time. Alpha Rafe, image attached. Storm gray eyes, Norse god features. The man who'd half lunged at me in a club. The man whose touch had burned perfect against my skin. The man I'd see tomorrow in a professional capacity. Fuck, I whispered to the empty room. My wolf was pacing, agitated. Go back, find him, claim him. He has a girlfriend, I said out loud. Don't care, mate. I have a career. Don't care, mate. This is literally the worst possible timing. Mate, mate, mate. I pushed off the door, started the nighttime routine on autopilot. Change clothes, brush teeth, wash face. Trying to wash away the feel of his hand on my wrist. The scent of pine and snow that clung to my skin. The recognition that had slammed through me when our eyes met. It didn't work. I climbed into bed, stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow was the biggest job of my career. Tomorrow I had to be mediator Rayna. Professional, neutral, completely controlled. Tomorrow I had to face Alpha Rafe and pretend I didn't know what he was to me. Pretend I hadn't felt his wolf recognize mine. Pretend that half lunge hadn't been the most terrifying and thrilling moment of my life. Pretend I was just human. Just a mediator. Just anything except what I really was. You walk between worlds, girl. Grandpa's voice, gentle in the darkness. Between human and shifter. Between professional and personal. Between what I wanted and what I could have. Always between. Never belonging. That was my medicine. My curse. Tomorrow I'd use it. Use the ability to shift between roles, between personas, between versions of myself. I'd be professional Rayna. And I'd forget about the man whose wolf had lunged for mine. I'd forget about storm gray eyes and perfect scent and impossible recognition. I'd forget about Rafe. I had to. My career depended on it. My carefully hidden nature depended on it. My survival depended on it. One drink, one dance, one catastrophic mistake. Over. Done. Except I could still feel where his hand had been on my wrist. Still feel the mate bond hovering, waiting to snap into place. Still feel my wolf's certainty that walking away from him was wrong. But my wolf didn't understand. Didn't understand that belonging meant hiding. That safety meant distance. That mates, if that's what we were, meant risk I couldn't afford. Not when I was already living a lie. Not when one wrong move could expose what I really was. Not when everyone I'd ever loved had left me. You're gonna be fine, Ray Ray. Grandpa's last words. I hoped he was right. But lying there in darkness, feeling the pull of a bond I couldn't accept. Fine seemed very far away. My wolf whined softly. And for the first time in 6 years, I let myself cry. For Grandpa. For the loneliness I'd carried so long. For the mate I'd just walked away from. For the girl who'd learned to survive by never fully belonging anywhere. Tomorrow I'd be strong. Tomorrow I'd be professional. Tomorrow I'd be fine. But tonight, alone in the dark, I was just Ray, lost between worlds, missing a man I'd known for hours, mourning a future I couldn't have. One drink. That's all it was supposed to be. Instead, it changed everything, and I had no idea how to change it back.
Chapter 3. Rafe's POV. The first professional meeting. The lunge. I walked into the conference room at 8:47 like a man stepping onto a battlefield he already knew he was going to lose. The air smelled of fresh coffee, expensive cologne, and barely contained tension. Fandor was already seated at the head of the table. Elegant, unreadable, golden eyes tracking every new arrival like a predator, deciding which antelope looked weakest. Punctual, Fandor murmured, not looking up from his tablet. I appreciate that in wolves. Hector and Link flanked him in perfect symmetry. Cass sat near me, shoulders hunched, eyes flicking to the door every few seconds. She's not coming through that door, Cass, Link said quietly. Not until this is settled. Cass flinched. I know that. My brothers were at the coffee station. Lars stirring sugar he didn't need. Finn pretending to read the agenda. They both straightened when they saw me. Morning, Alpha, Lars said, too casual. Sleep well? Like a baby, I lied. Finn snorted. Right, and I'm the Pope. He handed me a mug. Black? Figured you'd need the burn? I took it, didn't drink. Then the door opened again. Gentlemen, a crisp voice announced, I apologize for the delay. And everything else ceased to exist. Rayna walked in. Charcoal blazer sharp enough to cut glass, hair pulled back so tight it looked painful, tablet under one arm like a weapon. But it was her eyes that hit me. Dark, steady green, shadowed underneath with the same sleeplessness I'd carried since the club. She paused for half a heartbeat when she saw me. Our eyes locked. The room held its breath. Then she lifted her chin and crossed to the mediator's chair like she hadn't spent last night dancing with me and my girlfriend in a club downtown. Mediator Rayna, Fandor said, rising slightly. Your reputation precedes you. I appreciate the confidence, Mr. Fandor. I intend to earn it. Professional. Composed. But I felt it, the tiny hitch in her breath, the way her fingers tightened on the tablet. Through the bond that shouldn't exist yet, I caught a flash. Recognition, dread, and something hotter underneath. My wolf lunged. Mine. I gripped the armrest so hard the leather creaked. She sat, opened her tablet, finally looked up at the room, at everyone except me. Good morning, she said, voice calm and clear. Before we begin, let me outline today's proceedings. We'll start with cultural assessment, identifying the key differences between wolf and panther traditions that impact this union. Then we'll move to practical terms, residency, ceremony structure, and family integration. Comprehensive, Hector said approvingly. Efficient, Link added. Rayna nodded. However, before we proceed with the formal agenda, proper etiquette requires we observe Panther protocol. She paused, letting the words settle. Every Panther in the room straightened slightly. In Panther culture, the highest-ranking female present speaks first in matters of union and family. Her gaze swept the table deliberately, landing on Nikita. Nikita, as Alpha Rafe's partner, you hold that position. My blood turned to ice. No. Rayna, no. Through the bond, I felt her terror spike. A flash of last night, of dancing between us, of Nikita's knowing eyes watching us circle each other like gravity had shifted. She was handing Nikita a loaded gun. In front of the Panthers. In front of everyone. Fandor's brows rose, impressed. Well done, mediator. She knows her protocols, Hector murmured to Link. Lars shot me a confused look. Finn's eyes narrowed. He sensed something wrong but couldn't place it. Rayna gestured to Nikita with open respect, but I caught the slight tremor in her hand. I defer to you. The room stilled. Nikita could end her right now. One word about the club. One mention of how Rayna had looked at me, danced with me, how the air between us had crackled with something that had nothing to do with professional mediation. One sentence and Rayna's career would be over. The Panthers would demand a new mediator. Cass and Sen's chance would die. And Nikita would be justified. The scorned girlfriend exposing the woman trying to steal her mate. My wolf was frozen, caught between the instinct to protect Rayna and the knowledge that any move I made would only confirm Nikita's suspicions. Cass blinked. Wait, what? Shh, Finn hissed, but his eyes were on me now, reading my tension. Nikita's eyes widened, surprise flashing before she masked it with that effortless grace she wore like skin. She stood slowly. Every second stretched like hours. She smoothed her dress, looked first at the Panthers, direct, respectful, then at Rayna. Rayna's face was perfectly composed, but through the bond I felt her bracing for the blow, waiting for the humiliation, the exposure. Then Nikita looked at me, and I saw it. The sadness, the understanding, the choice being made in real time. She smiled, small, sad, knowing. Thank you, Mediator Rayna, she said, accent warm and clear. It is an honor to speak. The breath I'd been holding released a fraction. She turned fully to Fandor and the Panther delegation. I understand your culture places women first, always. It is beautiful, reverent. I respect it deeply. Fandor inclined his head, slight, approving. Your words honor us. I am here because Cass is family to me. He is my brother in every way that matters. Nick, Cass started, voice thick, not understanding what was happening. She held up a gentle hand. His happiness with Sen is what matters. Love, true, fated love, is rare, precious. Fated love. The words hung in the air like a benediction and a goodbye. Rare indeed, Hector agreed quietly. It should never be blocked by old rules, wolf or panther. Her gaze swept the table, lingering on Cass, then on Rayna. Sometimes we must set aside what we want for what is right. My chest tightened. She wasn't just talking about Cass and Sen. Mate bonds are sacred, she said, looking straight at Rayna now, eyes soft, understanding, farewell already written in them. Even I know this. Through the bond, I felt Rayna's shock hit like a physical blow. Disbelief. Gratitude so sharp it bordered on pain. Nikita was giving her blessing. Not just to the mediation. To us. So I say, let us find the way. For Cass. For Sen. For love. She sat gracefully, then looked back at Rayna with a small nod and the ghost of a curtsy. The floor returns to you, Mediator Rayna. Silence stretched like a held breath. Lars was staring at Nikita like he'd never seen her before. Finn's eyes flicked between the three of us, Nikita, Rayna, me, and I watched understanding dawn on his face. Oh, his expression said. Oh, shit. Then Fandor spoke. Quiet, genuine. Well said, Nikita. Your words honor us all. Beautifully done, Hector added, genuine warmth in his voice. Link's mouth curved. Respect. Wisdom and grace. The Panthers relaxed, fractionally. Rayna cleared her throat, voice stronger now, but I felt the emotion threatening to crack through. Thank you, Nikita. Beautifully spoken. She clicked to the next slide, and I saw her blink rapidly, fighting back tears. Let's return to the residency clauses. Session continued, but everything had changed. Nikita had just walked into a room where she could have destroyed the woman fate had chosen for me. And instead, she'd given us her blessing. In front of witnesses. With grace and dignity and a love so selfless it made my wolf howl with grief and gratitude. Rayna launched into her presentation. Clean slides, precise language, threading panther reverence for matrilineal structure against wolf pack hierarchy, like she was sewing silk with steel thread. The primary tension, she said, advancing to the next slide, is residence. Panther tradition requires Sen to remain in her mother's territory. Wolf tradition requires Cass to remain with his pack. Can't have both, Link observed. No, Rayna agreed. But we can create a hybrid arrangement. 6 months in each territory, with communication protocols to maintain both family connections. Split residence, Hector mused. Unconventional. But fair, Fandor said, considering. Continue. She was brilliant, ruthless in her clarity. Every time she gestured to a point, my eyes tracked her hand. Every time she paused to let someone speak, I noticed the faint tremor in her fingers when she thought no one was watching. She was exhausted, and she was magnificent. What about offspring? Hector asked. In panther culture, children belong to the mother's clan, while wolf culture claims pack lineage through the father, Rayna said smoothly. I propose dual citizenship. Children would be recognized by both clans, with ceremonial rights in both territories. Fandor's eyes narrowed. That's bold. It's necessary, Rayna countered. Unless you want to guarantee future conflict when the first child is born. A long pause. Then Fandor smiled, thin, approving. You don't shy from hard truths, mediator. Hard truths are why you hired me, Mr. Fandor. Link chuckled. She has you there. The morning progressed. Rayna fielded questions with precision, deflected objections with grace, and somehow managed to make both sides feel heard without giving either everything they wanted. When no one was watching, she stole one look at me, eyes shining, not just with hope now, but with tears she couldn't shed. Then she glanced at Nikita. Thank you, her expression said. I don't deserve this, but thank you. Nikita smiled. Small, sad, final. Take care of him, and let him take care of you. The lunge came after lunch. Mid-afternoon, during discussion of the bonding ritual. We'd been circling the topic for 20 minutes. Dance traditions, feast protocols, gift exchanges. The Panthers were warming to the hybrid approach. Even Cass looked hopeful for the first time all day. Then Hector said it. In Panther tradition, he began, calm and measured. The mate's submissiveness during the ceremony symbolizes reverence for the sacred balance of power. Sen would kneel before Cass's family, accepting her place in submissiveness. The word hit me like a physical blow. My wolf herd diminished, herd caged, herd Rayna forced to bow. Submissive? The word ripped from my throat before I could stop it. The room went dead quiet. Rafe, Lars warned low, hand moving toward my arm. It's a ceremonial gesture, Hector clarified quickly, holding up both hands. Symbolic. Symbolic of what? I was out of my chair, hands fisted, vision narrowing to red. Of breaking her? Alpha? Finn started, rising. Of making her less than she is? Rafe! Rayna's hand shot to my arm. Hard grip, desperate. Stop. But I couldn't. My wolf was snarling, clawing at the inside of my chest, demanding I protect what was mine. The ceremony requires respect for hierarchy, Hector continued, voice still calm but wary now. It's tradition. Your tradition can go to hell. Rafe. Rayna stepped between us, small, fierce, voice like steel. She whirled to face me, eyes blazing. Sit down, now. Fandor's eyes narrowed, sharp, calculating. Alpha Rafe, I believe you misunderstand the sacred nature. I understand perfectly. My voice was a growl now, barely human. Rayna's hand pressed harder against my chest, steady, warm, commanding. Please. The word broke through. Not the command, the plea. My wolf whined, caught between rage and the desperate need not to hurt her. I sat, breathing hard. The Panthers watched with predatory interest. Fandor leaned back in his chair, golden eyes glittering as they flicked between us. Me, Rayna, the way her hand still rested on my chest like she could hold me back through will alone. Fascinating, he murmured. Such protective instincts. Quite intense, Link agreed, too casually, his gaze sharp. Almost like... Hector trailed off meaningfully, one eyebrow raised. Cass looked confused. Lars looked concerned. But Finn was watching me with dawning realization, then glanced at Rayna, then back to me. You idiot, his expression said. Through the bond, I felt Rayna's fear spike. Cold, sharp, drowning. She knew what they were thinking. And so did I. Rayna removed her hand from my chest slowly, deliberately, and turned back to face the table. Her voice was perfectly steady when she spoke. Let's take a 15-minute break, she said. When we return, we'll discuss ceremony modifications that respect both traditions without requiring submission from either party. An excellent idea, Fandor said, still watching us with those calculating eyes. I think we all need a moment to cool down. The room emptied slowly. The Panthers departed in a cluster, heads together, whispering. Cass lingered near the door, looking lost. Lars grabbed my shoulder. What the hell was that? Not now, I growled. Yes, now. You almost... I said not now. Finn moved between us. Lars, give him a minute. A minute? I know what he just did. Finn's voice was quiet, heavy. Let it go. Lars stared at him, then at me, then stalked out, muttering under his breath. Nikita was the last to leave. She paused at the door, looked back at me with those sad, knowing eyes. She is worth protecting, Rafe, she said softly. But not like this. This only puts her in more danger. Then she was gone. The room was empty except for Rayna and me. She stood with her back to me, hands braced on the table, shoulders rigid. Rayna. Don't. Her voice was tight, controlled. Just don't. I'm sorry. She laughed, sharp, bitter. Sorry? You just painted a target on my back in front of the most suspicious shifters in the city, and you're... Sorry? I couldn't, when he said... I know what he said. She whirled to face me, eyes blazing with fury and fear. I was handling it. That's my job, Rafe. To handle the difficult conversations, to navigate the cultural landmines, to find the compromise that makes everyone feel heard. He wanted you to kneel. He wanted Sen to kneel. Not me. This wasn't about me. Her voice cracked. But you made it about me. You made it about us. And now they know. Maybe not everything, but enough. Enough to start asking questions. Enough to start wondering why the mediator and the alpha can't keep their chemistry under control. The word hung between us. Chemistry. Not bond. Not fate. Not the pull that made it hard to breathe when she was in the room. Chemistry. Like it was a choice. Like we could turn it off if we just tried hard enough. I can fix this, I said. How? She grabbed her tablet, held it like a shield. How do you fix the fact that Fandor now thinks there's something between us? How do you fix the suspicion in Hector's eyes? The knowing look Link gave me before he left? I'll tell them. Tell them what? That you overreacted because you're protective of all women? Because you have strong feelings about ceremonial submission? She shook her head. They won't believe you. They're Panthers. They're trained to read body language, to sense weakness, to hunt for hidden agendas. Then I'll tell them the truth. The words fell like stones. Rayna went very still. What truth? That you're my mate. No, the word was immediate, absolute. Absolutely not. Rayna, we are not having this conversation. She moved toward the door. Not here, not now, not ever. I caught her arm gently. We have to talk about this eventually. No, we don't. She pulled away, but not before I felt the tremor run through her. Because there's nothing to talk about. You have a girlfriend. I have a career. We have a bond that shouldn't exist and can't be acknowledged. Nikita knows. Nikita suspects. There's a difference. Rayna's voice dropped to a whisper. And even if she knows, even if she's giving her blessing, that doesn't change anything. The council doesn't care about fate. They care about protocol, about appearances, about mediators who maintain professional boundaries. So, what do we do? She looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw the exhaustion, the fear, the bone-deep loneliness of someone who'd spent years keeping everyone at arm's length. We finish the mediation, she said quietly. We get Cass and Sen their happy ending, and then we walk away. I can't walk away from you. You have to. She moved to the door, paused with her hand on the handle. Because if you don't, I lose everything. My career, my reputation, my purpose. You'd still have me. She looked back over her shoulder, eyes shining with unshed tears. Would that be enough, Rafe? When I'm unemployed and blacklisted? When every shifter in the city knows me as the mediator who broke protocol? When I can't do the one thing I'm good at anymore? A sad smile. Would being your mate be enough to fill that hole? I didn't have an answer. She nodded like I'd confirmed something. That's what I thought. The door closed softly behind her. I stood alone in the conference room, the ghost of her fear still echoing through the bond, and realized what I'd done. I'd tried to protect her. And instead, I'd put her in more danger than she'd ever been in before. Finn appeared in the doorway. The Panthers are circling. I know. Fandor's asking questions. I know. And Rayna's right. You just made this 100 times harder for her. He came into the room, closed the door behind him. So what are you going to do about it? I looked at my brother, at the concern in his eyes, the understanding that came from years of watching me carry the pack on my shoulders. I don't know, I admitted. But I can't lose her, Finn. I can't. Then you better figure out how to protect her without destroying her in the process. He gripped my shoulder. Because right now, you're doing more harm than good. He left. I stood there, surrounded by empty chairs and the lingering scent of Rayna's fear, and made a decision. If I couldn't walk away, and I couldn't claim her, then I had to do the one thing that terrified me most. I had to let her go. At least long enough to finish the mediation. Long enough to secure Cass's future. Long enough to prove to the Panthers that there was nothing between us but professional respect. Even if it killed me. Even if my wolf howled in protest. Even if every instinct I had screamed that letting her out of my sight was the worst mistake I could make. I had to let her go. For her sake. Even if it destroyed me.